We're now going to create one of the piston heads. So rotate this up and select the underside of the casing. Once you've selected that, we'll start the sketch, and we're going to draw a circle that matches in with this first ring here where the crank hits its highest point. So we'll draw the circle out, making sure we lock to the centre, and then we're going to dimension that at 50 millimeters. Okay, you can see that matches up quite nicely. So finish your sketch, extrude that sketch now as well, and we're going to actually make that 60 millimeters tall. So the arrow is going the wrong way, so we want it to go upwards, and we want it to be a new part. Make sure you select new, don't get caught out like I did earlier. Then we're going to have the shell feature at the bottom here, and we're going to have 5 millimeters to press enter. So that shell thickness is a whole 5 millimeters, which should work quite nicely. Finish that with a tick. And now we need a bar through the center of this to connect the crank and the piston to one another. So if we look at it from the front, we haven't got a flat surface to create that bar from, so we need to create a work plane. Select the front work plane, use the plane option at the top, look at it from the right hand side so we can see how far it's going. Run it in the center of the piston ideally. So the arrow is going the wrong way at the moment. We'll move that across roughly into the right position. It'll give us an indication of the numbers that we should be using. So it should be around 50, which looks like it's going to be in the middle. Okay, so we can click tick on that. We're now going to draw on that plane as a sketch, looking at it from the front. There's a circle in the center of this piston, so just in there. Okay, let's dimension that up now. So the distance from the top here, we're just going to make that 15 millimeters. The circle itself should be 15 diameter, and the distance from the edge of the piston, if we're allowed to select that, it doesn't look like it wants us to, so select that distance from the edge of the whole part as 40 millimeters, so it's nice and central. Okay, we can finish up with a tick, and as we rotate round you'll see that circle's hovering in the middle at the moment. So when we extrude it, it's going to have to go symmetric to reach both faces, and the face that we're doing is sketch 14. So I'm going to look at it from the right hand side. I want that to be sitting nicely just in this region, just inside, as close as we can get. So let's make that 40 millimeters, and you can see it should be connecting. So if we look at that from underneath now, I'm going to hide some of these other parts, so the casing and the crank I'll hide, and we can have a good nosy around on the inside there, so you can see that is fully connected just as we want it to. So we can finish that. Okay, unhide the other two parts, and then we've got our first piston head. We are only going to create the one because when we assemble everything we can create the next ones that we need. Okay, so we can just repeat the same thing and it saves you some time at this stage. The only thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of detail to my piston head. So we're going to add a chamfer to this edge, not the inside edge. Sorry, I've selected the wrong one there. So close it from your list, select the outside edge, and just 5 millimeters is absolutely fine. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is on plane 1, so look at it from the front again, we're going to create a little detail around the edge. So I'm going to sketch on plane 1, and I'm going to draw a couple of small rectangles, maybe 3 rectangles here, and I'm going to dimension those together. So the distance between those should be 0, and the distance between these should be 0 too, so they all line up. And as long as they're poking out the side, I don't mind the width. So the distance between them, I'm going to make that 3. The distance between these, I'm going to make 3 too. And then the height of each one we'll make 3 just for consistency. The last one here, 3 millimeters too. And we'll go distance from this top edge can be 7, and then we can see that they're all overlapping, so I'm not worried about the width. I'm going to click tick. Okay, we're fairly happy with those now. We're going to create a revolve with these, so you'll notice in a second there's one more thing I need to go and draw back in, but we're going to try and revolve them around this shape, and hopefully we can work around it. So click the revolve tool. I'm going to use sketch 15, so it's doing all 3. And then the revolve axes, I'm going to try and use this whole cylinder, so you can see it has worked, which is great. We just want to select the remove tool and then select tick, and that's just added a little bit of detail to the piston to add a little bit of interest to our design. So I'm going to turn off the hidden edges and we can see a little bit more what it looks like. The only things to really finish now are adding the handle and the connection between the two before we go and have a little bit of fun with the assembly features. Good luck.